Hello and welcome. This is Tclassified. This is EducateAfricans.com, the newest product from Tclassified.com, where students come to learning different things that will help them in their exams, whether it is WAEC, NECO, jamb, junior WAEC, senior WAEC, common entrance, all sorted out. Good teaching with practices, past questions and answers needed for you to move your learning to the next level. That is what we dedicate ourselves to doing here in Educate Africans, giving you solved problems needed for you to step up your learning to the next level. And today we're going to be looking at chemistry, importantly, because we've already started our practices for the coming WAEC, WASC, the whole of West Africa. Everybody is writing it. It's the O level that you need. You're going to put it together with your jamb, then you're expected to get admission into any school, public, government, institutions, private schools. Okay, so let's get down to what we want, okay? We keep going down, we're gonna see chemistry. Okay, this is chemistry. That's the one we're using, the one by Anita Mbanaso. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this close and gonna get to chemistry. Very importantly, we need to do this. We do this every evening, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. You have to always log in so that you see a class that is good for you. Okay, this is chemistry. And if you're trying to open any video, it's not opening. You're gonna come up and look for where they wrote enroll. See it here, you click on it. Once you do that, then it's gonna be able to. So this is the first of introduction to chemistry. We're gonna look at it and we're gonna get closer to our separation. Some schools, when they want to teach chemistry, they start from separation. But from what I know about teaching, it's always good to start by explaining the concept first to the student. Once they get this concept, it becomes easy for them to really appreciate what you're teaching, and they will now be able to listen while you go through other aspects of teaching in order for it to make sense more to them. Brings it home to them and they get to understand better. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to click on Introduction to Chemistry. This is the first video there. Let's start with Introduction to Chemistry. As we all know here in Educate Africa, we would like to start our classes in time. The WAEC is still way up there. Some people are not going to want to do anything for now because they just want to chill and maybe 1 month to the exams, they want to start preparing on 2 weeks to the exams. That is not the best method approach to your exams. It's always good you start in time, because when you start in time, you'll be able to expose yourself to what you need in order for you to move forward. Okay, so what is chemistry? Chemistry is the branch of science which deals with the study of nature, composition, and properties of matter, and the changes matter will undergo under different conditions. So what is this matter that you're studying in chemistry? Your milk is a matter. You want to study the nature of the milk you drink, the nature. You want to study the composition. You want to know the things that are used in making the milk so that you can always make milk. And you want to study the properties of the milk. After some time, that milk will sour, it will spoil. You want to know so that you can preserve it more. So studying that milk is chemistry. Milk is a matter. Matter is anything that has weight and can occupy mass. Me and you, we are both matter. You understand? So if you want to study our nature, our composition, and our properties, then you're doing principally what we call chemistry. So chemistry is when you study the nature, composition and property of a given thing. That is chemistry. So what are examples of chemistry in our natural life or in everything we do on a daily basis? When an iron rusts, an iron that you get this now, you see, this is my key now. Some part of it is already rusting. When I bought it new, everything was shiny, very shiny. But now you can see this side is black in color now. Once water is touching it and it's exposed to the atmosphere, it's going to rust over time. So how does rusting occur? So the process of this rusting is chemistry. Okay, chemistry, very important. Then we'll talk about palm wine turning sour after some time. Now you have your palm wine. This is Coke. This is not palm wine, it's Coke. Well, let's say you have palm wine inside this bottle. When the palm wine is freshly caught, you drink it, it's very sweet. Palm wine is very sweet when it's freshly caught. Then you put it inside this bottle and you leave it for some time. After a while, this same palm wine becomes sour. So how does a palm wine go from being very sweet to being very sour? That is chemistry. It means that it has undergone some reactions that makes it sour. Now you talk about burning of substances, burning. Any substance that has carbon in it, then you put a little bit of fuel, then you light up the match, pull, it's gonna burn. Because carbon exposed to oxygen causes burning. So how does burning happen? Hydrocarbons, when there is ignition and they are reacting with some oxygen, burning. So all these are examples of chemistry happening in nature. And for you as a student, you should be able to explain all these things. And you cannot explain them if you don't have the knowledge of chemistry. And that is why we are taking our time to study chemistry, because at some point, you're going to find yourself in situations where you have to explain all this. Okay, so that is good. That is the basic introduction to chemistry. So we're going to move forward to, let's move forward to uses of chemistry. What can you use chemistry to achieve? What can you use chemistry to achieve? What and what can you use chemistry to achieve in life? Okay. So when you open up these, you're going to also see these lectures. You can play them. They are similar to what I'm explaining to you now. So what are the uses of chemistry? Number one, you can use chemistry to produce food. You can use chemistry to produce fertilizers. And you can use the knowledge of chemistry to produce insecticide. So like we said, that chemistry is the study of the composition, nature, and properties of matter. So you want to know the composition of the various food that you take. This Coke, what are the composition? What and what do you put together to have a Coke? So when you look at the body of the Coke, you're going to see some of those things. Like here, we have ingredient, carbonated water, sugar, color, caramel, acidulant, phosphoric acid, Coca-Cola flavor, caffeine, and sugarlose. See, a couple of things come together to form this Coke. So you need to know the composition. So once you know, you can go put them together and make your food. You know, Coca-Cola is a beverage. So beverages are foods. So you can put some things together and have your own Coke when you know the composition. And knowing the composition is simply chemistry. And that is how chemistry can help you put together some food. The same way fertilizer, some fertilizer, they call them NPK. N for nitrogen, P for phosphorus, K for potassium. So we have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium coming together to form a fertilizer. That is chemistry, my brother. Now we look at insecticides also. You have to bring some chemicals together to have an insecticide which has some properties and some nature that enables it to kill insects. Fertilizer have some properties and nature that enable it to help plants to grow. Then food have some properties and nature and composition that help human beings to repair one out parts and help them to grow and function properly. So it's important that we know all this, and that is why we are learning them. It's very important that we learn them. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue. Let's continue. Then we'll talk about clothing. We can use the knowledge of chemistry to have textile fibers production that we can use for clothing and housing. The cement, you need to know what you bring together to have a cement, concrete, steel for housing, for medicine, drugs. For your healthy living, you need drugs. So you put together some chemicals to have medicine, transportation, the fuel we use in our car, the alloys we use in building our aircraft and our automobile. They are all gotten from the knowledge of chemistry. And that is why chemistry is important. It's important that you know it. Okay, so let's move forward to the next topic immediately. We are not wasting time. Adverse effects of chemistry. Luashi, how are you? How are you?
Fine, sir. Good evening, sir.
I'm gonna ask you guys privately your scores, your jam scores this evening. So I'm gonna private chat all of you. I've gotten some people's scores. So I wanna ask that later. I don't want to pile up pressure on anybody. So let's start our wire classes already. Then I'll be asking as time goes. Okay, so it's good. We've started our wire classes very seriously. And these wire classes we started also forms the starting of our next year jam class. We start in time. 1 year is good for you to prepare. So if you follow these classes religiously, then you'll be able to cover a whole lot. And by then writing next year, for those people writing next year, becomes easy. I don't like doing all these sharp kind of preparation, because you need to prepare well. You need to expose yourself to past question. This year's jam was a little bit somehow because of introduction of new text and all the rest of them. And like I said, once you prepare very well, no matter what happens, you're going to give a good account of yourself. And that's why we stress on preparation here in Educate Africa. We'll start in time. Adverse effects of chemistry. What are those bad things that come from chemistry? They are bad. So chemistry is not always good. Use this. Produce drug, produce textile, produce this one, good things. There are some things that are not good that also come out of chemistry. Number one, things like corrosion of iron that we say is chemistry, rusting of iron in the presence of water and oxygen. So you can prevent it. Luashe, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, somebody was calling me and I'm using my phone as my router. Okay, pollution, those insecticides you're producing, those fertilizers, some of them pollute either the soil or the water where they get to pass through. So it's so bad, like even as they are helping your food to grow, they are helping your farm to get rid of insects and pests. They can also pollute edibles. Your tomatoes that you plant there could be polluted. So chemical waste from factories and oil, their waters cannot be used because their waters are polluted by the things that are coming out, the crude oil, the things that come out from the refining of the crude oil. So all those cause a lot of problems. You understand? So that's why they are crying down there about pollution. They have to do remediation to recuperate the strength of their soil and their waters. So in as much as the refineries are producing crude oil that we use as fuel for our cars, they're also polluting the environment. Now we look at drug abuse. Drug abuse, very important. Drug abuse. Drugs like heroin and cocaine are addictive. Now, when you start taking them, you get addicted to them. In as much as they can be used for some medical applications, or in their process of preparing them, you can get other byproducts that are good. They can also infect you. When you start taking them and get addicted to them, they can destroy your lives. And that is why drugs are bad. They say don't do drugs. Drugs are chemicals. Drugs are gotten from chemistry. Drugs are supposed to treat us, our illnesses. But at the same time, those drugs can be very, very detrimental to your living, especially hard drugs. Hard drugs. When you're growing now, you're gonna see some friends will tell you, let's go and smoke this one, let's go and do this one. Don't follow them and do any of them. Those drugs are very addictive. Once you try them once, before you know it, start getting addicted to them. Before you know it, they will kill you off. Those drugs are not good. Before you know it, those same drugs, they will make your life miserable. So drugs are very bad. Drug abuse, very, very important aspect of adverse effect of chemistry. Use chemistry to produce good drugs. Chloroquine, paracetamol, Lonart, anti-malaria. All those ones are good for your body. But you see, some people go and buy codeine and be drinking codeine. You understand? And it's not good for young people. Don't try it, no matter your age. It's bad. Okay, so those are the adverse effects of chemistry. Let's move forward to careers in chemistry. So your knowledge of chemistry, what and what are you going to use it for? What and what? You can be teaching. If you have knowledge of chemistry, just like I'm doing now. I read chemical engineering in the university, so I'm using my knowledge. I did chemistry a whole lot in secondary school, and it's so related to my course. And so I can teach. You can be a lecturer in the university. You can teach if you want to. The food processing, you can use your knowledge to process food, be a chemist and be producing food. Petroleum and petrochemicals. You can work in petrochemical companies. Like when I set out to read chemical engineering, I wanted to work in an oil company. They call it petrochemical, petroleum. So they pay very fine. So you can decide to do that. The health services, pharmacists, biochemists, and nutritionists can decide to work as any of these, and you need chemistry a whole lot. Extractive industry in as chemical engineers and research chemists, all those people mining copper, all sorts of mining, extractive industry, you need knowledge of agriculture, scientists, chemists, you need chemistry. Forestry, research, you need chemistry. So you need chemistry in all those. And with that, we'll come to the main topic of chemistry. All those are introductory. Most times they don't come out. But pollution come out, so take note, pollution, you always see it. So that brings us to the main thing, nature of matter and properties of matter. That is chemistry. We'll look at it, then we'll look at separation techniques. Very importantly, we need to keep moving. We have to move. We just have to move. So what is example is a nail, the palm wine, the drug that we are studying. They are all matter. So anything that has weight, if you put it, it weighs something, it has weight. It occupies some space. You call it matter. So you are matter, because you have weight, you're occupying some space. You see now, because I'm standing here, you cannot see what is at my back because I'm already occupying space. So I have a space I'm occupying. And if I go on a balance, I can weigh something. I have weight, so I'm matter. So virtually everything you can see and feel, they are matter. This Coke bottle is a matter. The Coke inside it is also a matter. This Coke inside it, it has its own weight. And it's occupying the space inside this rubber. So it's matter. It's matter. So this is matter. It has mass. It's occupying some space. This space where you see it, matter. So matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. And that is why we see chemistry is the study of the nature, composition, and property of matter. So once you're studying this very matter, you're doing chemistry. So what is this matter that you're studying? Anything that has mass and occupies space. This is ink. You're studying the ink. Because the ink is matter, you're studying the property, nature, and composition of ink. That is chemistry. Because you want to know how to produce another ink. It's a chemist that can give you the mixture that will come together to form ink. So that is matter. Anything that has matter and occupies space, like nail, palm wine, drug, all of them are matter. Okay. Let's move forward. Properties of matter. These are characteristics that substances possess with the help, which help in identifying them. If you say, what are my characteristics, my properties? I'm dark in complexion. So those things you look at and you can say about me, those are my properties. So I have physical properties. Those are associated with physical change, like boiling. When do I boil? When do I melt? This iron, when does it melt? When does it boil? Those are its physical properties, the iron. What is the density of this iron? It's a physical property. What is the color of this iron? What is the color? It's the physical property. It's a physical property. You understand? Then talk about the chemical properties as well. Chemical properties. Those chemical properties, you cannot feel them the way you're feeling the physical property. It's when it undergoes reaction. That's when you feel the chemical properties. So chemical properties involve when matter undergoes a change to form new substances. E.g., when something is rusting, it's undergoing a chemical property. Rusting is a chemical reaction because it exposes them to air. Fermentation. When your palm wine is fermenting, it's a chemical process. It's reactions that are going on. The solution of metals and limestone in acid. When you put a metal in acid and it dissolves, or when you put limestone, all those are chemical properties because they come about through chemical changes. And chemical changes is one in which is not easily reversed. Any reaction, any change that cannot be easily reversed back is a chemical change. And most likely, new substances are formed. But any change that can go back, call it physical change. Let's say melting. You have your ice block. If you bring your ice block from fridge, you are looking at it, all of a sudden it will melt into water. If you take back that water into the fridge, it will form back the ice. So it is reversible. Once the change is reversible, call it physical change. But if the change is not reversible, once it goes, we call that a chemical change. So chemical changes are associated with chemical properties, whereas physical changes are associated with physical properties. And I say that physical properties are those properties you can see with your eye, you can perceive by smell, like the color of something, you can easily see it with your eye. You can perceive the smell, the odor of something. You can taste the taste of something, whether it's sweet or all those are physical change. You can use the parts of the body to quickly notice them. Whereas chemical change, you need to perform chemical reactions. Rusting, roasting, fermentation. Iron that is roasted cannot be gotten back. Palm wine that has fermented cannot be gotten back into sweet palm wine. So they are not reversible. Whereas physical things like melting can reverse. If you melt your what's it called? If you melt your ice, you can get back your ice by taking that melted ice into the fridge and lowering the temperature back again. So that is properties. So when we're talking about properties of matter, we say that properties of matter are those characteristics that substances possess which help in identifying them. When you see something that is silvery, you call everything that is silvery to mean iron. That means when you see iron, you can be able to identify them. So you identify something with its property. And we say that matter is anything that has matter and occupies space. Coding learner, put yourself on mute. Mute yourself. Okay. So Luashi, are you good together with me on all these?
Yes, I'm good.
Chika, are you good with me on all these? Chika, your mic is on mute. You're having network issue. Coding learner, are you good with me on this? Coding learner, what's your full name? You're mute, so you have to unmute yourself to talk.
My full name is David, sir. David Alieze.
David.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're looking at matter. We said that matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. And we're looking at the various properties of matter, whether it's the physical property or the chemical property. So physical properties are those ones that are associated with physical change. And physical changes are those changes that can, whereas chemical properties are those properties associated with chemical changes. And chemical changes are those changes where new substances are formed and which are not easily reversible. Examples of physical properties are boiling point, melting point, density. Properties are things like roasting, fermenting, all the rest of them. And that is it about nature of matter. I'm going to move straight fast into elements, compounds, and mixtures, so that by the next class, we'll be looking at separation techniques. And that's how we roll. We're going to move fast. We're going to make sure we make some important moves. Okay, elements, compounds, and mixtures. Then we have elements, compound, and mixture down here again. Incredible. Okay. Matter can be classified as elements, compounds, and mixtures. An element is a substance which cannot be split into simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. Example of an element is oxygen, hydrogen, etc. Any substance that cannot be split into other simpler substances by ordinary chemical process is known as an element. An element is a substance which cannot be split into simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. Example is oxygen. Another example is hydrogen, etc. Sodium, potassium, calcium, molybdenum, beryllium, boron. All of them are all examples of elements. And there are about 109 known elements. A compound is a substance which contains two or more elements chemically combined together. Any compound contains two or more elements chemically combined together. Example is water, H2O. Another example is hydrochloric acid, HCl. Now, a mixture contains two or more constituents which can easily be separated by physical methods. So when they can be separated, we call it a mixture. If they cannot be separated, we call it compound. If it is just one substance that cannot be divided into simpler one, call it element. So take note of this. Mixture can be separated. Compound cannot be separated by ordinary because they are chemically bound together. Whereas elements are substances that are pure and cannot get any simpler units from them. So examples of mixtures are air. The air you breathe can be separated into oxygen, nitrogen, and all the rest of them. Soil, the sand, other things in the soil. Urine, you have the urea, water, other things. Palm wine, you have several things making it up. Coca-Cola, several things put together that can be separated. Milk, several things that can be separated. Blood, several things that can be separated. Crude oil, brass, sea water. We're going to see the things that are put together to form these mixtures. So let's go up now. Let's go up. Opinion. So we have elements, substances that cannot be split. I've said that for compound containing two or more chemically bound. I've said that before. So these are important compounds that are in the world that you should know. Marble, calcium, carbon, and oxygen chemically combined together, cannot be separated easily by physical method. So from marble, caustic soda, you have sodium, oxygen, and hydrogen coming together to form caustic soda. Caustic potash, we have potassium, oxygen, and hydrogen coming together to form caustic potash. Sand is a combination of silicon and oxygen. Glucose is a combination of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Ethanoic acid is a combination of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Calcium chloride is a combination of calcium and chloride. Bleaching powder is a combination of calcium, oxygen, and chlorine. Tetraoxide sulfuric acid is a combination of hydrogen, sulfur, and oxygen, all brought together chemically. They cannot be separated by physical process because they are compounds. So these elements combine chemically to form the compounds. But mixtures, they combine physically. That's why they can be separated. So when we're learning separation process or separation techniques can only be used on mixtures, not on compounds, on mixtures. Because a mixture is from when two or more substances are physically joined. That means they can be reversed by. They are not chemically joined together like what's it called, compounds. So let's look at some of these famous mixtures and what they are made up of. You need to know them because they are going to ask you in WAEC. What and what come together to make up air, to make up urine? Which of the following is not a component of urine? They will ask you that. So you should know that urine is made up of urea, water, and mineral salts. They will tell you that bronze is an alloy of what and what? Bronze is an alloy of what and what? Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin, whereas brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. So there's always copper. But it depends on what is added to the copper. If it is tin, call it bronze. If it is zinc, we call it brass. Urine is a combination of urea, water, and mineral salt. Milk is a combination of water, sugar, fat, protein, mineral salts, and vitamins. So that's why we encourage young people to drink milk a lot. Because in drinking milk, you're getting most of the food item that you need in your body, the 6 classes of food. You're having water, you're having sugar, which is carbohydrate, you're having fat, which is a member of fats and oil, you're having protein, which is on its own protein, you're having mineral salt on its own mineral salt, you're having vitamins. So the 6 classes of food are almost found in milk. That's why when you have a child, you just give birth to a child, you're giving that child breast milk, because milk is what he or she needs. He has all that in both protein, vitamin, mineral salts, sugar, water, in order not to let him get dehydrated. All of them are there already. Then we'll talk about palm wine, as water, sugar, yeast, protein, fats, vitamins, mineral salts. You see, palm wine is also having good things. Palm wine is actually having good things. It's having protein, it's having fats. Wow. I don't wonder why people are always taking palm wine. It has good things as well. Okay. I've never thought of it like this. Like, I always thought when they take palm wine, you just want to like get a little bit tipsy or something. Or enjoy the sweetness, the sugar in it. But you see, it's having fats and all, it's having vitamins. Okay. That's why you don't remember. Pregnant women, they are encouraged, or nursing mothers, to take those things so that they have more breast milk. Because you can see that there's a relationship between the constituents of the palm wine and milk. You see, that's how science works. So like you have to look at the components so that you see whether this can substitute for this, whether this can help in the production or secretion of this. It works that way. Then petroleum, you have petroleum gas, petroleum ether, petrol, kerosene, diesel. That's why when you refine petroleum, you get all these constituents. Use them in various ways. Air is made up of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor, inert gases, and seawater is made up of water, mineral salt, dissolved air, and bacteria. So those are mixtures, and you just have to know these. So take your time, and I'm gonna give an assignment now. Luashe, you're gonna be doing your assignments. Make sure you're doing them. David, make sure you're doing your assignment, submitting your assignment. So assignment goes like this. Define the following terms, elements, mixture, and compound, and give me five examples of each. If you give examples of mixtures, you have to give us the constants of that mixture. But give me, yeah, five is okay. In fact, give me eight example of each. 8 example of elements, 8 example of mixture, 8 example of compound after defining them. Then I want you to give me also the adverse effects of chemistry. Write the 3 adverse effects of chemistry. So this is assignment, submit it to me. In the next class, we are going to be looking at separation technique. And you know, separation technique have a lot of questions coming out in your WAEC. You just have to be there. Just take the class. Like I said, you have done your jamb. Jamb is done and dusted. Forget your jamb and focus on your WAEC now, so that you dust your WAEC. Forget about it, move on, but always prepare. Like I said, good preparation is hard work has no substitute. Good preparation is what you need in order for you to dust all your exams, the ones that are coming in feature. And best way to doing good preparation is by following the classes, doing the assignments, and finally working on past questions when we start working on past questions. So with that, you're gonna be able to get all A's, 9 straight A's in your WAEC. That's what you should be aiming at. So better aim at that. Aim at that now. That is what is good for you. Okay. So thank you. See you when I see you. God bless you. Our lectures continues every day, non-stop, till our WAEC, till further notice, till other things. So that's how we're gonna move. Thank you. See you when I see you. Thank you. God bless you.